Hey there folks, Peter here with BlackRock Business, just hanging out with the big rooster here in my background. And today we are going to jump into the QuickBooks Point of Sale Multi-store preferences and settings. But before we do that, don't forget to join the QuickBooks Point of Sale Facebook group. There's a link down below in the description. And subscribe to us on YouTube for all the wonderful videos that we come out with practically daily. All right, let's get into it.
Hey there folks, Peter here with BlackRock Business. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to get into the configurations and settings of the Multi-store edition. Isn't that exciting? And before we do that, I'm going to have you click on the link down in the description below to get over to our QuickBooks Point of Sale Facebook group, where people such as yourself who are also using Point of Sale are asking questions and getting answers, and I'll be there as well helping out. If you're on YouTube today, don't forget to hit subscribe so you get all the latest and greatest QuickBooks Point of Sale videos coming at you all the time. So before we jump right into this, I'm going to mention we have the headquarters store right here. This is the main store in my multi-store chain, and then I'm dragging over right now. I got another virtual machine here that has my remote location on it. You need to look at the configuration and setup from both sides to really understand it. So don't get confused on which screen we're on. I'm going to be pulling this one in and out so that we can see the remote store settings as well. So to get to the multi-store configuration, it's going to be on the file menu here. I will mention if you're on Pro or Basic, you are not going to have the settings that we're looking at. If you are trying to set up a multi-store, or perhaps you want to unlock Basic or Pro and get a multi-store license, or perhaps you would also like to add another store to your current multi-store license, give us a call. Send me an email, give me a call. I can get you a quote or estimate on that. We usually have some pretty good deals on that. Lower than you're going to see at the QuickBooks website. So, on the File menu, let's go to Preferences and then Company. Now, right here in your Company Preferences, I'm going to click right on Multi-store. We can see that this is my headquarters store, which I have nicknamed WAC because of the location that I'm in. If you see this and it says that it's a remote store, well then you know you're not at headquarters. So, clicking down in the next heading here on Multi-store, we're going to look at the store codes and classes. Got to wait a little minute here because it is going to talk to QuickBooks Accounting and find out what the classes are pulling from there. So, we've got two stores in my company. Of course, you can select, well, it's still talking here. Right here we got two stores in our company. You can select, I believe, up to 20, having 20 different stores in your multi-store chain. So we have turned on tracking for multiple stores in QuickBooks Accounting. And what would a QuickBooks Accounting class be? Classes are a way that you can segregate numbers and information in QuickBooks Accounting so that you can do separate reporting. In this case, you would be able to do reporting in your QuickBooks Accounting for Store 1 as well as reporting for Store 2. You can leave this off if you want all of your stores just to be all part of the same grouping of information. But the nice thing about this is you can do the reporting segregated or you can do it as a whole. So I think having more options is probably the way to go. You can see here, at one time I had 3 stores in my multi-store chain, so I had 3 different classes. If you would like very specifically named classes in your QuickBooks Accounting, you can go to QuickBooks Accounting first and enter class names in there before you even set this up, and then the class names that you created there in QuickBooks Accounting will be available here for selection. Now, setting your store codes, I personally think that this is best used if you designate them as sort of a location. In this case, I've got a Waconia store and I've got an Edina store, which are 2 different locations, and so easily my employees and myself would be able to tell which location something is happening at. Instead of it, I think when you first start this up, it might just say 1, 2, 3. And I mean, that just, for me, that doesn't give me a picture of where this is happening if it's just a number. So there you go. You got your store codes and your classes from QuickBooks Accounting. Now over here in Store Exchange, you are going to have a listing for each store according to how many stores you decided are in your chain. So if I had 5, I'd see 4 extra different configuration stacks here. I don't know what else to call those. Configuration lines, I guess, one for each store. So on this main one here, I'm going to highly recommend that you use the Intuit service to do your store exchange. It's just the easiest and quickest. There are these other options. You can put it on a USB drive. You can try and email it through Gmail. You can try and email it through Outlook, or you can try and transfer it through a shared folder, which doesn't make sense to me unless you're on the same network, which I don't think your 2 stores are going to be on the same network. I guess we could argue semantics, and maybe you got a VPN where you actually can transfer through a folder because you have a virtual private network or something like that. So I'm going to recommend Intuit service. This used to cost a little bit of money, like $20 one time. I don't think it even does anymore. I think you can just, I'm pretty sure it's free. You just get an unlock code after they verify your license, and you can turn it on. So Intuit service is my recommendation for all stores. And you're going to hit configure, and then you are going to go ahead and enter. In this case, we have the one remote store. So I would enter in the license number for that remote store, and then that tells the headquarters here which store to communicate. It's kind of like the address of that other store. So on each one of these lines for every single store, you're going to hit configure, and you're going to enter the license of that particular store for that line. And then over here on options, you're going to either set or change the store exchange password. And I will tell you, this should be a password that you're not going to forget, or you definitely should write it down, because this is a password you're going to put into every store location, but you're only going to do it when you're setting up. And so 2 years down the line, when you want to add another multi-store, you're going to need to know this password to get that store into the chain. Or you're going to have to reset every password at every location in this area. So go ahead and set your password, and that'll be the password for Store Exchange that you enter into each and every store. Down here is the folder that you where your mail bags land. Now, mail bags are the files that are being sent back and forth between the stores with all the information in them. I usually don't see a reason that this should change. There's some really special, weird circumstances where somebody would change this, but I'm going to tell you that right off the bat, you should probably just leave it where it is. Now, this most of the configuration that I've talked about so far is going to be the same here and at the multi-store. But this particular area, the scheduled store exchange, is one that we want to pay attention to when it comes to the headquarters and the remote locations. So let me pull the remote, excuse me, let me pull the remote location over here. File, Preferences, Company. Because this area right here is very, first of all, I will say that it's set up wrong out of the box. I think when you install this on every computer, every single one of these blanks says 3 o'clock, which is configured wrong. So people, when they're doing this themselves and they don't know what this means, they often just leave it how it is, everything on 3 o'clock a.m., and then it doesn't happen correctly. Yeah, so what this is here is, I'm going to go in chronological order. You can see that my settings are not all 3 o'clock. And so at 1 o'clock in the morning, my remote store, when I set it this way, is going to send all of its information to headquarters. So we're going to follow my mouse, and it's going to get sent to headquarters, and it's going to sit there. And then at 2 a.m., headquarters is going to pick up that information, internalize it, regurgitate it, and send it back out to the remote stores. And so it gets sent back out at 2 a.m. and then it lands at the remote stores, and then at 3 a.m. all of the remote stores, if they are configured in this manner, will pick up that stuff that got sent back from headquarters so that the remote store is aware of everything that happened at all the other stores. And then all of your remote stores will know everything that happens. So, once again, out of the box, these are all set at 3 o'clock, but really, this should be set earlier, and this should be set later, and the headquarters exchange should happen in between these two time slots. 1 o'clock, head over here. 2 o'clock, it does things, and 3 o'clock, it receives it back to the remote store. And that is how to correctly set up this time area. So, that is the very important remote store configuration. Now, we're going to be moving on here. I'm going to head down to store headings. This is really simple. You just choose each and every location, and you are pretty much going to set up all of the information that you normally would on the setup interview. This is like the receipt information, the information about this store, and the information about this store. Very simple. I think you know what to do there. And there you have it. That is pretty much every multi-store setting and pretty much where everybody goes wrong. So my name's Peter with BlackRock Business. If this was helpful to you, go ahead and smash that like button down there. Jump into our Facebook group, and I'll be glad to see you there. You have yourself an excellent day. Bye-bye.